So you want to build a $1 million a month creative pipeline. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. First, I'm going to teach you how to understand your ICP. Next, I'm going to teach you how to make winning static ads, show you the different types, how to make them. Then I'm going to show you how to test them. Then I'm going to show you how to make winning VSLs, winning VSL structure, different types of VSLs, exactly how to test those VSLs in your ad account. And then after that, you're going to have to stay to the end to figure out what you do after that. A little sauce for the end of the video. But before we get into everything, if you don't know who I am, my name is Jared Robinson. I've generated multiple 8 figures for my clients. We run a creative agency. I do not sell a course. All right, let's get right into it. So first thing that you need to do is understand your ICP. If you sell to everybody, you will sell to nobody. All right. And I always use this example. If you're a returning viewer to the channel, you've probably already seen this. If you're not, listen up. So everybody has seen the movie Limitless, right? If you haven't seen the movie, the concept is there's this little pill that you can take and it basically turns you into the smartest, best person at literally everything. But if you were to be the one selling that pill versus me being the one selling that pill, the outcome would be very different. You would probably run an ad or run around with a billboard saying, I have a pill that can change your life. It's the best pill ever. It's going to make you be able to do everything. That's stupid. That's not the way you market. That's not understanding your ICP. That's not understanding angles. So what I would do is I would take this little pill that unlocks everything and I would figure out all the people who want to perform at a high level, right? So I could sell it to kids who want to get into Ivy League schools right before they take their SATs. I could sell it to stock traders who want to be able to be locked on and doing everything that they can do on the market 24/7. I could sell it to small business owners who want to increase their output by 4 times. There's millions of different ways that I could sell this, but I would not sell it by running around saying I have the Superman pill, right? The way it's sold to him in the movie is as if it's going to allow him to finish his book, right? He wouldn't just take some random pill that's going to make him the smartest guy in the world. He would think that's a scam, right? Because that's not how you emotionally and psychologically manipulate people into buying things. It's not by telling them that your product is the best. It's by selling them an outcome that they want, or it's by solving a problem that they have. You have to understand that before we get into everything else, because if you're not already doing that, none of the other stuff is going to matter, right? Long story short, by the end of the movie, he turns from a loser into a Chad. So before we get into the nitty gritty of everything, you need to understand all of this stuff, just like what I said. First, we need to define your ICP, and you need to be thinking about this for your brand as I'm going through this right now. My ICP, if I sell a pill that's going to allow people to do whatever they want, 30-year-old high performers, work long hours, feel like they have more that they could do, drink coffee and crash hard, they're obsessed with productivity. And then my segments that I can sell to are stock traders, authors, politicians, entrepreneurs, right? And then beyond that, I'm going to pull pain points or desired outcomes from that, okay? That's a little quick refresh. I have other videos on my channel that go deeper into that. This is more about the entire acquisition system. So I'm assuming that you understand that. I hope you do. Next is going to be, you have to pick between either static ads or video ads. In my professional opinion, I always like to start with static ads because it allows me to test extremely fast and extremely cost effectively in terms of my costs of making the creatives. And I always keep these variables in my control. I can control my output and I can control the quality of the creatives, right? And the variables that I can test are ICP, angle, and the type of creative. So let's get into the types of statics that you can be testing. The first is offer-based. This static, we are testing the offer of allowing people to finance because the product is extremely expensive. The next is social proof, right? A review is the main thing. Your customer is speaking to another customer. Those rip. Those are probably my favorite. This one is pain and desire. Obviously, you can see here we use pain, put it into foot pain. And then another pain and desire, slicing your drive again, right? And then this is also another one that I like, is getting creative with your customer profiles. This product is something that makes your dipping experience cleaner. Where men, we don't really care if it's nasty. I have like 5 Zens sitting on this table right now as I'm filming this video. But women don't like that. Your girlfriend doesn't like your nasty Zen sitting everywhere or your dirty dip bottle. So we started targeting a new customer profile with the same problem and the same angle. Your man choose, this makes it cleaner, right? Another is us versus them. That's pretty basic. And then again, just reiterating, the variables you should always be able to control. You should always optimize for maximum output and making sure that the quality of each test is under control. Because if your creatives look like shit, and I know ugly ads convert, but if your creatives look like shit and the quality of your creative, you're not doing enough research, you don't know if the product is not that good or if the creative is not that good because you're not controlling every variable that you can. So you need to make sure that every single creative is good, and you need to make sure that you have consistent, predictable output. And then the variables that you can test, again, are going to be, first, you could run tests on different types of ICPs for the same product. Then once you find your ideal customer profile, then you test different angles. And then once you have your angle that's working, you test different types of creatives. And now at the bottom of that, you know things. That's the point that I feel like everybody who talks about ads doesn't go deep enough into this. Not only is the ad account learning, but you need to also be learning about your brand and who you are selling to. So at the end of this, if you run this test properly, like I'm going to show you how to do, you should know things, right? So this is how I would structure the test. So first, I would start by testing different ICPs. And then I would have 3 angles up under each customer profile. So let's just use the limitless pill as an example. We can use stockbrokers here. We can use SAT prep here. We could use business owners. We'll just put biz. And then up under this, each of these angles, a stockbroker, for example, one of their things could be replace all the other stimulants that you're doing. They're doing tons of Adderall and caffeine. Another one could be work longer hours. Another one could be, make better trades or whatever. I don't know shit about trading. But then up under that, we want to test 5 different creatives per angle. And you could mix and match this, right? Honestly, I would mix and match this. I would do this as the type, right? So all those types that I showed you earlier, God, that looks terrible. These would be different types of creatives that are speaking to the same angle, so the same problem, but different types of creatives, right? So here you're accomplishing, if you run a test just like this, you're going to learn which one of these works the best, which customer profile is the most profitable, and then beyond that, you're going to learn which angle is the most profitable, and then beyond that, you're going to even learn, you're probably going to have 2 or 3 different types of creatives that work the best. This is a super easy, cost-effective way, and I say cost-effective in terms of time, because it doesn't take you a long time to produce tons of creatives, or you can come to us. It doesn't take us that long. We could produce this in 24 to 48 hours. And it doesn't take you that much money in terms of paying for the creatives, right? So just a little recap on that. These are the different types of creatives. We have offer-based, social proof-based, and you can also use celebrities if you have celebrities. I also use celebrities and reviews interchangeably on like the social proof vertical. Typically, if that works for your product, people want to see a review. They also are happy to see a celebrity in it. Pain and desire, and then targeting different customer profiles, and then us versus them. So to recap that, now we're going to go into VSLs. Like I said, you should be learning, right? So after you've ran this test, let's say, for example, the SAT prep was the winner, right? So we're going to continue with SAT prep was the winner. These 2 different angles worked. Oh, shit. And then these 3 types of creatives worked for both angles, right? Just to make it easy. Now that we know this, then we can start to structure VSLs around that, right? So let's skip ahead for a second. This is what a good VSL structure looks like. And I'm going to take you through this, but I want you to follow the entire pipeline. And this is how we do this for clients. This is exactly how we do it. We've taken clients from not zero, but 20, 30K a month to $1 million a month, doing exactly this, right? And we do this because we use those statics to learn. We learned what our new customer profile that we're targeting is. We learned the angles, pain points, and problems that they have. And I guess for statics, we just learned the types of creatives so we can produce more statics like that. But now we want to take what we learned about what customer profile is the best and have that in our hook, and also have the angle or the pain point or the problem in the hook of our VSL, right? This is going to save you a lot of money and time testing VSLs because it takes a longer time to produce VSLs and it's more expensive. So that's why you can rip through a static test in like 1 to 2 weeks and have every single piece of information that you need to know. Then you can go and your VSL hit rate is going to be way, way, way higher if you run proper static tests on the front end. So first things first, you need a good hook that clearly calls out the ICP and clearly is calling out the angle or pain point or problem or desired outcome that your product will solve. Next, we're not going to do a product reveal yet. We're going to tell a story, right? We're going to keep the viewer engaged. What is the problem that they're facing? And then we need to relate to the customer. Next, we're going to show first the unique mechanism problem. So let's say, for example, the limitless pill again. We're going to say, oh, if you've tried Adderall, you know the hangover. Or if you've tried coffee, you know it doesn't give you that much of an edge anymore. Then we're going to get into the unique mechanism solution. But the limitless pill has no hangover. It's completely effective. There's blah, blah, blah. Unique mechanism solution. Then we're going to say, and you have a risk-free guarantee, blah, blah, blah. Then you can show testimonials. John, the stockbroker, made $500,000 more per year. Sarah got a 60% higher score on her SAT, shit like that. So if you understand, this is to engage them, or this is to get them to stay, this is to engage them. Then we call out problems and other solutions in the market that did not work, and then we give them our solution, and then we give them risk reversal, so we objection handle on the front end, and then we show them testimonials, which is, again, another objection handle. Because if they make it to the end of the VSL, then these are things that you can basically just increase your conversion rate with. And then there's a few different kinds of VSLs. This is typically my favorite. I know you drop shipping, if you're a drop shipper, you're not going to like this, but if you have a real brand and you believe in it, you need to be doing founder-led VSLs. They work way better than pretty much anything else, especially in the beginning. So if you don't know what this is a founder talking head video. It follows, you should be following the above structure. It's going to be probably 1 to 3 minutes long. It's going to do a lot of prospecting for you. It's a very good top of funnel ad. And then typically these have an extremely long shelf life, so you can keep running them in your ad account for a while if they're above your break-even ROAS. Next is mini VSL or UGC. The thing that's better about these is they're typically cheaper to produce, right? Like you don't have to rent a studio or get a camera or all that stuff. You can just throw out some product to cheap micro influencers, and basically with, again, all the stuff that we learned up here, you know exactly what type of influencers to source that can speak to your ICP. You know exactly what angle to tell them to hit, and you know based off of the creatives that work, the exact messaging that they need to use. So you can use some mini VSL and UGC content as well. I actually like these as well. Founder-led is just by far the best. And then the good old traditional VSL, it's usually faceless. The drop shippers and stuff run these with an AI voice. But again, it's going to follow the above structure, 1 to 3 minutes long. It's going to do a good amount of prospecting, and it's going to typically be able to live in your ad account for quite a long time. And then when it comes to testing these, it's a little different than the static ads, but it is still fairly similar. So again, we're going to do the same thing with different ICPs. Obviously, you're going to keep running static ad tests, and eventually you're going to have multiple different customer profiles that you can hit. But instead of having different angles, since we already know what angle is going to work, we're just going to test different hooks, right? So if we already know, I guess really I should replace this with angle and then different hooks. So let's say, for example, we took the stockbroker ICP and the angle that worked was like a us versus them on Adderall. So that would be what these hooks would be about. They would just be different hooks, but the concept of the hook is going to be the same across. And then we're going to test 3 different bodies off of these hooks, and then we're going to put the same CTA on all of them, if that makes sense. So out of this, you're going to have, what is this one? 9 ads total. Sorry, this one is a little bit more. I just copy and pasted the fucking static one down. I don't know if this is making sense. I feel like this is making sense. But yeah. And after that, I guess I'll summarize VSL while I'm here. I actually got through this way faster than I thought I was going to. I expected this to be like an hour-long video. We're only like 17 minutes in. So to summarize what we've already went over, we already figured out with our static ads how to test them, and then we're going to figure out a couple angles, our customer profile that we like, and the types of messaging and the creatives we like. We go into the VSL. We already learned the VSL structure, and we learned the different types of VSLs. Now, when you get to this point, yeah, I feel like this makes sense. I wish this was live so I could get feedback. Then after that, this is what I would do. This is going to take you to probably $500,000 to $1 million a month. There's brands that are doing just this, doing multiple millions of dollars a month. But once you hit, high 6 figures, low 7 figures a month, what I would do personally is I know my ICP now. I know my winning angle now. I know my winning product now. I know my winning offer, and I know my winning hook and copy. What am I going to do? Absolutely just blast TikTok shop and influencer marketing, because you don't have to do any guesswork. You can make an entire SOP on every single thing that you learned, and then you can absolutely take over TikTok shop very, very, very fast. So hopefully that was good, man. I honestly expected this to be quite a bit longer. Yeah. If you made it to the end of the video, comment pipe, P-I-P-E. Comment pipe in the description. And yep, if you want static ads or VSLs done for you, we have an insane creative production capability. We do all of the creative strategy, all of the actual making of the creative, and then we ideate based off of what wins and continue to make more creatives. We've done this for a lot of brands, and we've been in business for like 3 years. So if you made it to the end of the video, we would love your business. Have a good one. Comment pipe.